in the United States. It is true that children sometimes see things on television, sometimes they read something and they're influenced to commit a crime. But the major media would not release the fact that one of these boys now going on trial was involved in Satanism. His students said he was involved, his girlfriend said he was involved, but the major media did not release the information. Again, yes, children do imitate things they see. In this strange book called Remote Control, available at my local library, they said that people do watch crimes committed on TV and commit copycat crimes such as thievery and murder. There's a funny little twist to this. It's called Remote Control. There's a sci-fi movie called Remote Control where everyone who watches this particular video from the video store commits murder with anyone they're in the room. The name of the sci-fi is called Remote Control. You see, mind control goes beyond just selling things, mocking the public, mocking the Christians. This man's name is Chip Tatum. He was an assassin. I won't say for what group. For a professional government agency. He was known as a black op helicopter operator. He could fly into any country in the world underneath radar. He worked for 25 years at his trade. I made friends with him just to find out the inner workings on how mind control works in high places. He told me they have drugs. I will not name those drugs. I know what they're called, but we don't need to let that out. He said they have drugs where they can compromise anyone in the world. He said within 2 months after the G7 meets, they will get their papers telling who to assassinate or who to compromise in the world. He worked at this for 25 years. It was kept totally secret even from his wife. Chip Tatum stated there was a general in Central America who constantly resisted taking orders from the New World Order. They flew in on a helicopter. They took him out to dinner. They put this particular drug in his drink and in his food. Within 30 minutes, he was a hypnotic victim. Any command given to him, he would obey. They used this drug on him for 2 weeks. When the 2 weeks expired, he could not even remember where he was, where he had been at. Under this hypnosis, he was given commands to do awful things that we do not want to list in detail. We don't want the children to hear it. Then they videotaped him. At the end of the 2 weeks, they walked into his office. He couldn't recall where he'd been. They told him again to jump in line for the New World Order. He said, I will not. They said, view this videotape. How would you like the people in your country to have this videotape? Yes, he took orders from the New World Order after that. Very advanced types of mind control exist in the USA and in the world. This is John Rappaport. He wrote a book, U.S. Government Mind Control Experiments on Children. Yes, charges were brought up in Congress by 2 very courageous ladies. But in this book, let's read what's been going on since the 1950s. In the mid-1950s, children were brought to the United States from Mexico and South America. They were considered expendable by the CIA. The CIA performed horrendous experiments on them. Then, lessons about what worked in brainwashing were applied to other children. The best and brightest in America were carefully selected. It was as if CIA experiments hoped to establish long-term control of the minds of these children for the future. Now notice, they were trying to work with children in some very gifted ways. Several decades ago, this book appeared. It was called The Control of Candy Jones. It was published by Playboy Press in the middle of the 70s. Candy Jones was the #2 pinup during World War II. Candy Jones was going to commit suicide. Her husband was Long John Neville, a very famous New York talk show host. He also knew some things about hypnotism. She had a hard time going to sleep. Long John asked if he could hypnotize her to help her sleep at nights, and she began to rattle off all this stuff from a spy novel. Because, unknown to her, she had an extra personality that had been created over the years by professional men in military places, and she had been taking communiques to armed force people while she was on her USO tour. The book can still be found in some used bookstores. In 1977, there was David Berkowitz. This is his arrest. He was known as the Son of Sam. Now, David Berkowitz took the fall. He would not say that anyone else was involved in these murders in New York in the 70s. New York got so tense, women would cut their long hair, thinking that the Son of Sam enjoyed shooting women with long hair. All of New York was in terror until David Berkowitz was arrested. Let's look in his apartment. There was a hole on the wall, and he made a cartoon because the hole in the wall looked like a face. He says, "Hi, my name is Mr. Williams, and I live in this hole. I have several children who I'm turning into killers. Wait till they grow up." What could he have meant? That they were turning children into killers. Later there was research. Later men did some great research, and they figured out that David Berkowitz had to be working with other people. They contacted him in prison. They kept asking him. They kept interviewing him until he admitted, yes, he was working with Satanists. Let's see what he said in Maury Terry's great book, The Ultimate Evil. "I'm serious about all this." This is David Berkowitz speaking. "There is no reason why I shouldn't be. Sir, Satanists, genuine ones, are peculiar people. They aren't ignorant peasants of semi-illiterate or semi-illiterate natives. Rather, their ranks are filled with," please note this, who are filling the ranks? Doctors, lawyers, businessmen, and basically highly respectable citizens. Now notice, they are normal on the outside at least, but what is he saying about these people? They are following Aleister Crowley's commands, and they want to do all these evil things. Let's read on about what David Berkowitz says. This is from page 308 and 309. "There are certain powerful persons who are able to gain entrance into other people's," we're dealing with the subject of mind control, they have the ability to enter other people's minds and souls. You ask about Satanists? I'm not talking of thrill seekers who hang on to and join every anti-establishment group which comes along. What is he talking about here? If you'll read on, he says that they love a good kill. At the very bottom, he says they are half-mad zombies. Again, David Berkowitz in this book states that he believes he was programmed, he was controlled since he was a young boy to commit these crimes. There are other people coming out in the country. This lady stated that she was programmed on military bases and by professional politicians under advanced mind control, and this was the man who rescued her. Some people do not believe their story. I've interviewed them. I have some advanced techniques of my own I utilize to find out if someone's lying. Through every advanced technique I knew, I had created them myself. This man passed all the tests. The type of programming involved is called trauma-based mind control programming. For instance, these people have all told stories about horrendous torture, things that we would not even want to discuss. It is called trauma-based mind control programming. Let me give you an example. They always refer to the JFK shooting. If you're an older person, you will remember where you were when JFK was shot. I remember the table sitting in study hall in high school. I remember exactly where I was when it came over the intercom and they said the president had been shot in Dallas. Why? Because the trauma heightens all your sensual awareness. and all of a sudden everything around you is recorded. Now let's look a little deeper. Do you remember the name of the street that the president was shot on? Here's a photograph from Dallas. Notice I've included the building. It's Elm Street.